Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content. Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.
Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Now, come on, we know this. Air traffic can be hectic. It can be stressful. Life for some animals in shelters awaiting their forever homes can also be unsettling. We got a solution, actually a double dose. Our two special guests today are all about unleashing great solutions for traveling pets and shelter animals. Please join me in giving pause and applause to the president and CEO of the ARC at JFK, Beth Schuette. And the founder of Zoundz Music for Pets, Zoundz with a Z, Derrick Garrett. Welcome both to the show. You ready for this, lady and gent?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. We're here. We're ready.
All right. I say the word, the ARC at JFK, and I'm thinking, old man Noah, just park it. When I think of Zoundz for Pets, I'm thinking like we got the 21st century music man on the show. Did I give a good characterization first, Beth, of you?
Yes. We do kind of consider ourselves Noah of the sky.
Noah of the sky. I like that. And Derrick, how do you explain Zoundz for music pets with your title?
So Zoundz is it's an app-based music solution that's featuring a library of proprietary music to calm anxious pets, and it's created for both pet parents to be used in their home as well as pet professionals, which includes boarding facilities, veterinarian hospitals, groomers, breeders, etc.
The sound of music keeps us sane, is what you're saying, right, Derrick?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Now, humbly, I was an 8th grade glockenspielist. Any hopes of me fulfilling my music career with that musical instrument?
Hey, we could try to make it work. I can't guarantee that, but we could try to make it work.
I do a mean Avon lady, ding dong, but that's about it. Well, the reason they're both here, everyone, is because they work together, their companies, and Beth, there is a thing called IPATA. Are you both involved in that? Is that correct, Derrick? Are you in the International Pet and Animal Transportation Association, or how do you work with Beth?
I'm not.
IPATA is a trade group for pet travel professionals and affiliated companies that work in the pet travel industry. So our organization is kind of got a dual membership. One as our facility that is a health and reception and quarantine facility for animals that travel and come into the country. We are also a member as a pet shipper, in which we actually arrange for the travel of pets into and out of the country and around the country. And we do that for private customers.
What's the connection, Derrick, with you and Beth, Zoundz and the ARC at JFK?
Right. So as I was saying a little while ago, we focus on veterinarian hospitals, boarding facilities, groomers, and at the ARC they do have a part of their facility where they house dogs and cats. And as well as they have to transport these animals when they're flying in or laying over. And Beth, jump in if I'm misspeaking in any way, but they sometimes have to pick these animals up from the actual terminal and transport them to the ARC. And so Zoundz is playing in the actual transportation vehicles, as well as in the facility to be able to calm the dogs and cats while they're in the care of the ARC.
I love that. What do you think? How did you find out about Derrick, Beth, and his Zoundz music for pets?
Yeah, so we we have an acquaintance or a colleague in common, Dr. Nelva Bryant, who she works in a number of different capacities. One of them is she works for Delta Airlines and advises them on their programs with animals, transporting animals. She also has her own pet podcast and Pets That Travel. So it's primarily about animals that travel. She's a great lady, and she introduced us and said, that she thought we could both learn from each other.
When you heard about Derrick, was it music to your ears? Come on, you knew I was going to do that.
Oh, God. Yeah, you had to go there, didn't you?
But I mean, animals can hear better than we can at higher and lower octaves. So let's dive in, science man. Who cares if there's music playing? I'm being a devil's advocate. And there's got to be certain music that seems to soothe the savage beast, even in a cat, right?
That's correct. That is correct. So we've actually been following a few different studies that were peer reviewed, and there's several studies that are out there. But for one, just to make you aware, my background is audio engineering, so I understand audio very well. And so when I was reading through these studies, they realized that there are specific parameters within a piece of music, and those parameters being the actual chord progressions, the tempo of the song, the overall instrumentation. And so when you put all of these different various parameters together that make up a song, they could either have a positive impact or a negative impact on your dog and cats. And I will say, what is common for dogs couldn't be more opposite for cats. So it's not
gotta explain that. So we've got a couple minutes before our first break. So what is going to make that cat purr? What kind of chord, tempo, instrumentation do cats dig?
So cats actually dig, and they are actually calmed by higher frequencies in general. And just, I don't know if you're aware of this, cats' hearing is probably about 20,000 hertz greater than dogs. So it's probably 3 times that of humans. And so they're actually calmed by, like more electronic digital sounding music, as opposed to dogs. That will have a complete adverse effect on dogs if you play the cat music for them.
So correct. Higher pitch, is that because mice make higher pitches, than some other prey. So, they like electrical. They hear better than dogs, 3 times better than us. But I'm laughing because you'll never find any cat become a certified hearing therapy pet. They're like, let's the dog do that.
Right.
That's fascinating that they kind of chill out to a higher a frequency, right?
It really is to see that. It really is. Yes.
So tell us about the dog side. So you said that electrical digital is kind of the groove for cats. What is it for dogs?
And so for dogs, they want to be like, when it's all said and done. And let me say this, a lot of people gravitate to classical music and think, okay, when they think of calming their dog, they think of classical music. And while some classical music fall under the correct parameters, and yes, it's effective, not all classical music, because there's so many different genres. So when it's all said and done, dogs really are calmed by the warmer sounds in the lower register, like your piano, right? We're gonna pause on that because I want to keep our listeners hearing and learning from you. We got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're speaking with Derrick Garrett of Zoundz Music for Pets and Beth Schuette. She is the CEO of the ARC at JFK. So you all know the drill. Sit, stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I'm getting schooled in a good way from Derrick Garrett and Beth Schuette. She's with the ARC at JFK. He's an audio genius.
and the founder of Zoundz Music for Pets. They have collaborated to benefit pets and animals all over the globe. We just learned about kitty cats, and you were talking about dogs and the fact that people sometimes assume to turn on the classical station, maybe on Pandora or whatever, when they leave the house. But give us the straight skinny about what dogs' ears really want to hear when mama, daddy leave the house.
Yeah, so they want a warmer sound, which is what we found through our testing would be more of like the piano sound in the lower register. So not just the piano like in a higher, but like the lower register really seems to resonate. And then even from a tempo perspective, much slower tempo. What we found was the actual chord progressions made a huge difference as well. Like slower moving chord progressions. And when you bring all those parameters together, it can really have a common effect for anxious dogs.
And anxiety is a big deal. Capital A. Anybody that got a pet during COVID, I'm telling you, the FAS, fear, anxiety, stress. I'm a certified speaker with Fear Free Pets, and we've learned different ways to make things better because stress can take an emotional and physical toll on us and on our pets. And I want to bring in Beth Schuette now because we're going to dive in more. But thank you, Derrick, because wow, I didn't know that, the difference for the ears for the kitties and the doggies. That was amazing. Beth, what do you think of all this? I mean, you tell us a little bit about the Ark at JFK. You're not in some little sturdy shed place, are you? This is pretty.
No. We have 168,000 square feet cargo building, of which about a third of it is dedicated to animals.
Wow.
So as I said earlier, we're a health reception and quarantine facility, and we service all kinds of animals that come through JFK. That are a substantial portion of our business has to do with horses that move all over the world. And
I understand
Derrick,
you got a bragging right about how many of all horses that are transported globally, how many pass through the Ark at JFK?
last year we had close to 6,000.
And that represents globally about how much percentage of horses?
Well, of horses that travel, I would say it was probably 60% of the horses that come into and out of the United States. So a lot.
Wow. Wow. So you are the main attraction
by air.
for horses coming into the United States?
Yes.
Main?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
What other animals have you had there that are bigger than a horse?
Well, elephants.
No way. Elephants?
Yeah, elephants. They haven't stayed with us, but we help transport them and oversee I wouldn't call it security, but we have to provide escort services for the handlers that work with those animals. We've had livestock, goats, getting into the smaller animals, some of the different types of zoo animals, sloths, pigs.
I love sloths. I mean, they get underrated. I don't know. Derrick, what do you think of sloths? I want a sloth T-shirt. What do you think?
I agree. I think they're underrated for sure. Totally agree.
They're
I'm not sure.
incredibly
I'm not sure if I would want one, but they are
No,
underrated.
no, they belong in well-run zoos. I'm sensing, Beth, that sometimes one country is bringing a specific species to maybe the United States to a zoo like San Diego or one of the other. I mean, is that what you're kind of coordinating through the Ark? They'll come through your place on the way to a zoo?
Yes, they'll be transported in, and of course that's a very specialty handling that has to be coordinated with the airline or the carrier that is transporting them, and it requires interaction from not only a variety of different players at the airport, but also a variety of regulatory agencies that are involved, and then not to mention the actual driving of those animals across the tarmac. And so it's very complicated.
Very slowly.
Yes, very slowly. And I mean, when we first started this project, we really didn't comprehend the breadth of the different disciplines that were involved in moving animals. So it's been a real learning experience, and it's become a labor of love, I would say, for all of us that work at the Ark. I certainly couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Without them.
How long has the Ark at JFK been in existence? And what are some of the groups that you need to have on your team? I'm assuming veterinarians, behaviorists, you keep going.
We opened on January 2nd, 2017. We were working on this project since 2012 and planning it. We worked with, and in that capacity, we did work with Cornell School of Veterinary, College of Veterinary Medicine. We worked with a number of different animal behavioralists to kind of see how did the animals move, what was the best way to keep them calm. We also had to work with a lot of biosecurity experts to ensure that our facility was kept to the highest cleanliness standards and could be continued to be cleaned to those standards. Because the last thing, you're bringing in animals from all over the world, and you want to ensure that something doesn't get passed between them.
Because if anybody listening works at a shelter, if there's distemper that gets out or parvo in a shelter, that is a big, big disaster. So before you came on the show, Derrick said your place is so clean he could actually eat off the floor. I'm going to put that challenge one day when I meet him in person.
Yeah.
But I
was wondering if you're going to bring that up.
That is a statement to their dedication, right, Derrick?
Absolutely. But I'm not eating off the floor first.
But there's a lot of balls in the air, and you're the head CEO. I mean, when you grew up as a little girl, Beth, did you say one day I'm gonna run a big Ark at an airport and I'm gonna bring in all kinds of animals? I mean, what did you want to do as a little girl when you grew up, and how did you get here?
Well, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a doctor, so I guess there's some parallels there. I always wanted to work with helping people. I didn't end up there. partially was I just didn't make the cut when I was in university, and I should have stuck with it, but I did. But on the other hand,
I'm glad that you are where you are. We're going to continue how she got from a kid to this after we take this break. So sit, stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Our special guests today are Beth Schuette. She is the CEO and president of the Ark at JFK. And we have Derrick Garrett. He is the man behind the sound of Zoundz, that's Zoundz, music for pets. And they're helping pets with their ears and getting from here to there. And we were talking with Beth. She wanted to be a doctor as a little girl. Didn't happen, but all the animals in the world are really thanking you for taking on this job. You are the conductor of safety and getting from one place in the world to another through JFK to get these pets happy. So, I mean, how did you get from wanting to be a doctor to now hurting lots of animals?
Well, I would say that was happenstance. My entire career was in banking, finance, and real estate. And my husband, John Cudicelli, is the chairman and founder of the Ark. And he had embarked on this project, and it started taking a lot longer than we had anticipated, with all of the public transportation authorities that you can possibly imagine involved. And so we kind of had to just jump in and figure things out. And at the time I was available, so I just jumped in, and we literally started from nothing. We got the facility built, but then we had to say, like, how do we run it? And we did have veterinarians. We had a variety of technical animal handlers, but that didn't prepare us for all of the other things that are involved with working at an airport, like the security, working with the Department of Homeland Security, working with CDC, working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, working with the airport itself.
That's a lot of red tape.
Yes,
Well,
there's a lot of red tape. So we just kind of figured it out, and we actually were in there mucking stalls and cleaning kennels, and my husband was driving the truck to pick up the animals from the aircraft. We were looking for people that had done something like this before, but there isn't anything like it. And so we looked.
How many employees do you have now?
We have around 50 employees. A lot of them are part-time because it's a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week operation, and we have a lot of shifts. So that means 3 shifts every single day of the year. And so we try to bring in people that can work on unusual times and days and holidays and things like that.
All right. Thank you for that backstory. We got another guest, Garrett, and he kind of grew up on a small farm, I think, in Virginia, right, Derrick?
Yes, in Clover, Virginia.
As a little boy, I want to brag a little bit. He is a multi-platinum record producer. This guy is nothing to sneeze at. But when you were on your little farm in Virginia, what were you thinking you wanted to be, and how did you get from there to here?
So when, I spent a lot of time, actually, I'm one of 5 kids in our family, and I spent a lot of time on the farm with my dad. We had a cattle farm. I really enjoyed it. However, at the same time that I enjoyed being on the farm, music was my passion. So I enjoyed the time on the farm with my dad, but I was off, pursuing, I wanted to be a rock star. So
move over, Prince. Okay.
Right. So anyway, so music was always something that that was always my passion. And then in later years, entrepreneurship became a passion as well. And everything that I've ever done, and as an entrepreneur has, music has always been the center of it. And so, Zoundz was birthed because I was speaking with a veterinarian friend, and he was sharing how it was becoming more and more difficult for for veterinarians and vet techs to be able to examine, dogs and cats because the anxiety was so high. And I knew from my existing business at the time, Roundhouse Multimedia, I knew that we could drive human behavior with music. And so I was wondering if we could do the same for animals using music. And so that's when I dove in and started to, see what was out there in terms of studies. And for me, it was incredibly exciting because it allowed me to be able to bring, my love for animals and passion for animals, for entrepreneurship and music together. So for me, Zoundz is like I'm still waking up in the mornings, pinching myself saying, I can't believe this is a business. It's because,
I do want to make sure, because we got to get people to check both of you out. I want you all after the show to go to arkjfk.com to check out what's going on with Best Group. And I definitely want you to check out Zoundz for Pets, but I got to spell it ZOUNDZ pets.com. You play what? Guitar, glockenspiel? What do you play? What musical instruments?
Believe it or not, I am a horrible drummer. So my career was not as a musician. It was I was a true engineer producer. No one wanted to hire me to play on their records as a musician.
But a little brag. Go ahead and name drop some of the R&B groups and others that you have been help with their sound.
So I had the pleasure of working with Vanessa Williams. In the pop world, I worked with Bobby Brown, Casey and JoJo. And the jazz rock, I did a lot of jazz records. So I had the opportunity of working with, a lot of people may not know these 2 ladies, but they were amazing jazz singers. Betty Carter and Shirley Horn, Sonny Rollins. I got to work with Miles Davis. I'm dating myself now before he passed away. Yes.
Wow. Well, my late great corgi was named Jazz, so I guess you know my genre.
There you go. So we could talk for days about jazz.
So for you, Beth, getting this contact with Derrick, you've got the facility, you're getting the food there, you're making sure the climate is right. How important has it been for you and your team to have Zound music coming in for these pets that are like, what? Where am I? Where am I going?
Well, I think it's very important. We have continually looked for things that improve the welfare of animals in transportation. And one of the things we found is through different scientific studies that we've seen is that how the animals are handled pre and post the actual flight, it really determines, their state of mind and how calm they are and how they react to the travel situation. So having this additional tool in our quiver, so to speak, or our arrow in our quiver, has really made a difference for us. We do experience, our staff has experienced a material improvement in the level of noise in the facility, which then also reduces the stress for the animals. We use Zoundz in our travel vans and also in our veterinary office and in the waiting area of our corporate facility. And we've gotten some feedback that the Zoundz actually calms humans too.
Well, you kind of want a calm group hanging out, herding horses and elephants,
Exactly.
I would say.
Yes.
Beth.
Yeah. So our next on the horizon, that collaboration with Derrick, we hope, is that he's looking into music for the horses so that we would incorporate the Zoundz in the equine stable areas.
All right. We're speaking with Derrick Garrett. He is the man behind Zoundz Music for Pets, and also Beth Schuette. She's with the ARC at JFK. We're going to find out what's going to go on with horses and others at the JFK, at the ARC at JFK, thanks to Mr. Music Man Derrick, after we take this break. So sit, stay. We'll be right back. Hey, Pet Pals. Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore, and I really enjoy our two special guests. They are dedicated to keeping animals safe and sane in their own talented ways. We have Beth Schuette. She is the CEO at the ARC at JFK. It is a big place that animals from all over the world come and go. We also have Derrick Garrett. He is a platinum award-winning music guy who founded Zound Music for Pets. That's with a Z. And I love that the fact you both love animals and you're both in your own way doing your part to make this a better, sane planet for our pets. I am remiss. Do either of you have pets? And I know they're listening. Derrick, your dog's got, they got great ears. They've been listening to Arden going, when is Daddy going to say my name? So you want to do a shout out to your personal pets, and then we'll ask Beth?
Yeah. So our dog is Miles Davis.
How did I not know that? Okay.
and he's actually not waiting for me. He's upstairs waiting by the window for mommy to come home. He's a mama's
What kind
boy.
of dog? What kind of
He's a
dog is that?
Cavachon.
Oh, okay. All right.
And as I said to you earlier, he's more of a
play the piano or anything or any music talent.
I have to watch out for him. He's now the office manager for Zoundz. So I gotta make sure I keep my job security in place.
How about you, Beth? You got any four-leggers or three-leggers?
Well, sadly I lost mine recently. He passed away, and we're still not through that grieving period. And so we are.
Because our show gets to heaven. So tell me, what's his name?
Tucker. He was a little cockapoo, and I called him 25 pounds of pure love. And he was the most amazing dog. He was our mascot for the ARC for many years, and he really made everybody happy. But I do have some pet grandbabies, so that's we've got some doodle and some cats. So they're still in the family, and I get to play with them, and then kind of move on my way.
Like a grandma needs and should do, right? Okay,
Yes.
diapers are full. Here you go.
Yes, exactly.
So travel. As we wrap up the show, I really want if you all could help us with keeping travel sane for pets, whether they're joining us, but they have to be, they're bigger than a cat, so they're not under the seat, traveling with you in the cabin. Beth, what are some tips you can give people, some do's and don'ts to make this flight more welcoming for our pets?
Well, if they're in cabin with you, there's a lot of concerns out there, which it's just way too long to get into. But the main thing I think is portraying that sense of calm yourself, so that the animals don't pick up on your own anxiety. We
How do you
recommend
do that? I mean, I know when I teach pet first aid, I want everybody to have a deep breath in and out,
yes.
and not shallow breathing. But what's your take? What's your tip?
Same types of things. I don't have anything in particular, but it's, animals can sense your mood. They can sense your anxiety. They can sense if you're upset and, losing your temper, if you're waiting in line with your animal and you're stressed because TSA is moving too slowly. So all of that contributes to the stress of an animal. Other animals in the terminal can get animals stressed out.
What about the animals that are too big and they need to be
that are in cargo
transported in a different plane or whatever? What kind of advice can you give? You said something about pre and after when they travel.
So the biggest thing there is making sure they're acclimated to their travel container, that they're used to it. I mean, for example, my dog Tucker never could have traveled in cargo because he was never kept inside any kind of restrained environment. And it made him highly, highly anxious. So for him to travel like that would have been cruel, and I never would have put him through it. A lot of people do advocate. There's like Adaptil, what I think is the name of the product, that are both for dogs and cats, that are more of an herbal-based scenting thing that helps calm the animals.
Well, it's actually the Adaptil, or DAP, is for dogs. It's like a synthetic canine pheromone. Kitty cats, the version is Feel Away.
Right. So we will use that. Medications is typically not advocated because it can slow the heart rate and the respiration of animals, which is not what you want in a thinner air environment that the animals are in cargo.
No tranquilizers. Thank you.
No tranquilizers. And then it's like trying to avoid loud noises. One of the advantages of our facility is we deliver animals just in time, so it's less time that they're spending in a cargo environment. And I don't know if any of you have ever been in a cargo terminal where most of the animals have to reside until they're put on a plane. It's got forklifts that are going back and forth. It's got large pallets of equipment and other things being moved that are getting jostled around, and it's often not temperature controlled in those environments. So having the animals in a place like the Ark, where it's calm, where the animals are being taken care of, where they're being provided water and food at the right times, the right amount of time before the flight, because obviously you don't want it too soon before the flight.
Right.
So all of that contributes to keeping the animals calmer. And again, getting them right off the plane as soon as possible is critical to get them away from any kind of stressful environment.
And then for their ears, we have Garrett of Zoundz Music for Pets. I mean, you've already got the music playing in the van, coming from the plane, and in the cargo, and at the Ark at JFK. That's nice. How has it been for you, Derrick, to be able to hear your music being played in animal shelters, vet clinics, other places? And I do want to give a shout out. Your music is so good that it's been approved as a preferred product by Fear Free Pets, which helps reduce fear, anxiety, and stress in pets. So tell us about what your gift is to to pets or those seeking to be adopted?
Yeah, I think that for one, the feeling is amazing to actually hear our music, hear Zoundz played in these various stressful environments for pets. And what's even more amazing and satisfying is to see it working. That's
Yeah.
it's just it's really exciting. But what I will say is we have a consumer side of the app for pet parents as well. And so
Okay, talk about that.
what we advise them to do, so we have it's based on 3 C's: connecting, calming, and conditioning. And for time purposes, I'll just focus on the conditioning part. So we have Dr. Lisa Radasta, who's our
Lisa
animal.
from Florida?
Well, we love her.
Dr. Lisa.
She's been our animal behaviors advisor from almost the very beginning. She's
Right.
amazing, and she helps to keep us rooted in the science. And so one of the things that Dr. Radasta helped us to be able to implement in terms of channels on the app for pet parents is travel time. And so travel time can be used for conditioning. So when you know that you're going to be traveling with your pet through the ark and they're going to be in cargo in a crate, you can actually start to condition them to make the crate a positive experience. And that happens by you put them in the crate for a few minutes, you put a treat in the crate, you play Zoundz, and you keep extending that process.
I like that.
And now what started out as maybe a negative experience is now become a positive experience. So we highly recommend pet parents to start using Zoundz pre-travel, because to Beth's point, the calmer the pet are, the calmer you can have that pet before they're actually traveling, the better the travel experience itself is going to be. So we like for Zoundz to be part of the pre-travel prep at the parent's
Very
home.
important.
And then by the time they reach the ark, then they're now like, wait a minute, Zoundz. They don't know it's Zoundz, but they're hearing this familiar sound that's common to them. And then we also recommend the pet parents playing Zoundz once the pet arrives at the final destination on the other end. To just so we really see Zoundz as being able to be a part of the travel process from the beginning, the middle, and the end.
I can't believe I don't know where all the time went. I've been learning a lot. You are music to my ears, Mr. Derrick. I got to tell you that. And I have a new Noah fan, and this is Noah Ark from the Bible. I like Beth Schuette from the Ark at JFK. I really appreciate both of you being guests on our show. I hope you survived me. Did you survive me, Beth?
Oh, yes. Really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, Arden. Thank you so much for having us. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.